Hi everyone, for this resin how-to, I'm going to show you 4 different methods that you can use to color your resin. The first method that I will be showing you is using resin dyes. This is also my most favorite method to use just because these dyes are specifically made for resin. Whereas I'm going to show you a method using acrylic paint. Sometimes with acrylic paints, your resin actually may not cure properly using those, which is why I prefer dyes most of the time because these are made to color resin specifically. So I like to use this brand, Cast and Craft, and you can find this brand pretty easily. You can get them at craft stores, and these I bought off of Amazon.com. So I have 2 different types here. I have this transparent one. The resin will actually be a more transparent color so you can see through it. I also have these 2 which are opaque. If you use a little bit of it, it can be transparent, but if you use more of it, it will actually be a really opaque color. So I'm going to show you how to make a basic white using this one here. I have already pre-mixed my resin, as you can see here. I also be using these molds here so I can show you what the different methods will look like when they're cured. So I'm going to take this one. This is just the Cast and Craft in white, and this happens to be my favorite one to use when I make all of my white backings. And you don't need a whole bunch, so I'm going to take a drop here and mix that in. So you want to thoroughly mix it in here. See that you will see some streaks, which is why you want to make sure that it is well mixed, because those streaks will pop out on the piece as it's curing. That looks pretty good to me, so I'm going to pour that into my mold. The second method that I will be showing you is using acrylic paints. Now this method is a cheaper alternative to resin dyes. Also is like a hit or miss type of method as well for coloring, because if you do happen to use too much acrylic paint, as you actually have the risk of your piece not fully curing and it's actually going to be bendy. So you want to be really careful that you don't use too much acrylic paint as you're coloring your resin. Even though this method happens to be a hit or miss type of method, it is a cheaper alternative to dyes, because resin dyes can run you, depending, can be like around $6 or more per bottle. Granted, the bottles they last you a really long time, but it is really expensive. Whereas if you're just starting off with resin, you can get these. Like I bought this in a set and it was from Walmart, and it was a lot cheaper for all these different colors. Also for resin dyes, a lot of it is they mainly have a lot of primary colors, so you kind of mix your own to get certain colors that you want. Whereas paints are already pre-mixed, you can get all of these type of colors. So I'm going to show you how I color using acrylic paints. The first method, I already have my resin pre-mixed, and I'm going to be using this silicone cup here so I can show you what it would look like after. I'm going to use this purple pot right here. And for this one, I am only going to use this much. So you want to start off with that much just to see how it looks. And as you can see, it colors pretty well, but it is a little bit transparent. So if I want a little bit more, then I will just take a little bit more from there. But I'm only adding a little bit at a time, just because I don't want to run the risk of adding too much and my piece not curing properly. For resin dyes, like the first method I showed, I noticed that you can add quite a bit and your piece will still cure properly. It's not the case for acrylic paints. You have to be really careful when you're using this. So that actually looks pretty good to me, so I'm going to pour that into my mold. The second method that I will be using is Pearl X powders. Now, I follow this person on YouTube and Instagram called Misty Pixel, and she uses these powders and she has a really good method on how to color your resin using that. So if you want to see that, you can go check out her tutorial on her channel. But this one, I'm going to show you how to mix it directly into the resin here. Also, I believe Crafter's Delights has a method as well for using these and how to mix it properly into your resin. So I like these if you want like a pearl effect, and they come in all these different colors. These I bought in a huge pack off of Amazon.com. I believe you can get it on eBay as well, or in your craft stores too. I believe Michael sells them, so you can get them from a variety of different places. But I'm going to show you how you can get a pearl effect using in your resin using these. I have the resin already pre-mixed in my cup here. You're going to open your pot and you're just going to take a little bit here. It's about this much is good, and you're going to mix that into your resin. Now this method here, as you can see, it actually doesn't give you an opaque type of finish. It's a little bit more translucent. If you want it to be more opaque, you can add in a dab of like white resin dye or a colored resin dye just to give it a little bit more of an opaque look. But for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to leave it like this so you can see what a true coloration looks like from Pearl X powders. So since this is fully mixed here, as you can see, I'm going to pour it into my mold. Now the last method that I will be showing you will be using glitter. When I first started doing resin, I used to use glitter a lot to color my pieces just because I didn't have dyes and I didn't know where to get it in the beginning. So I used to use glitter a lot to color my pieces. The trick with glitter is that you actually want to use a fine glitter, like this one here. This one actually says ultra fine on the bottom. These Martha Stewart ones are actually a fine glitter, so these will work as well. And this brand here that I got from Target, this is Wow. This brand is a fine glitter, so this will work as well too. The reason why you want to use a fine glitter is because the fine glitter, if you use a lot of it in the resin, it will actually mix up well and it won't sink to the bottom. Whereas if you use a chunkier glitter, once you mix it, as it cures, it will sink to the bottom of your piece and it won't be too uniform looking. So that kind of defeats the purpose of using the glitter if it just sinks to the bottom of the piece to color your resin. I have already pre-mixed my resin, and I'm going to be using this glitter here, which is a Martha Stewart, and it's the blue topaz one. So you're going to add quite a bit. I'm going to start off by adding that much, and then I'm going to mix it. I'm going to see how it looks. I think I'm going to add a little bit more. And that looks pretty well mixed to me. Pour it in. Okay, my pieces have finally cured, and now I will go ahead and pop them out. And pay no mind to the bubbles. I didn't pay too much attention to them since I'm doing this strictly for this tutorial. And I'm not going to use these for anything else. So this one is made with the resin dye. And I'll show them in more detail after I take them all out. This one is the acrylic paint. This one is using Pearl X powders. And then this one is with the glitter. This one is using the resin dye. This is with acrylic paint. So you can see the difference between these two. You actually get a pretty similar result between the two of them, between the dye and the paint. This is the Pearl X powder. So this is how you can get a pearl effect here. And this one is just using the fine glitter. And as you can see, it's pretty uniform too. These are my favorite methods to use to color resin, and of course the whole purpose for this is to have fun with it, so you can mix it up by mixing resin dyes and acrylic paints, or glitter and dye, or glitter and paint, or Prolax with paint, or Prolax with dyes. Any way that you want. It's fun to just experiment. That's what I like to do, experiment and see which coloring method is best for you. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and thanks for watching. Bye!